One thing I wish more couples knew when it came to planning their wedding is what job each vendor had from the beginning during the wedding planning process to the day of. I get tons of questions about playlist and music, which makes sense because I'm a DJ, but 80% of my job is done by the time we get to the open dancing part. So, what's happening the rest of the time? Let's take a step back for a second and consider that a wedding is a experiential event. What that means is there's motion. We're moving through moments. We're moving through everything and experiencing it all together. So if this is a field trip, the wedding planner plans the itinerary during the wedding planning process. Then on the day of is the navigator as we move through each experience. So who's driving the bus? The person who has the microphone is driving the bus. So that would be the DJ or the band leader. Here's what it would look like. We're going to take the grand entrance, for example, because the grand entrance is a pinnacle moment where the energy is high because we just had the ceremony, which is why we all came here, and we're about to do the celebration, which is what we're all looking forward to. So now the energy is really high in the room naturally. So now we're going to introduce the two of you as a newly married couple, and the energy is really high, and everybody claps, and they're cheering, and then you go sit down. No, that was awful, flat, awkward, even in this video just talking about it. What we're going to do instead is pull some moments together so that we carry ourselves from the grand entrance, which is the high energy, and carry the energy down into dinner. So here's what it looks like if we don't plan strategically. People feel like they're in a pinball machine. Ooh, first dance. Ooh, grand entrance. Ooh, cake cutting. Ooh, speech. Ooh, no, that's not it. Here's what it looks like when we do this the right way. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce to you our newly married couple. Put your hands together for, then your name. You guys walk in, the energy is high, everybody's clapping. The energy naturally lessens a little bit because people get tired of clapping. Then the person with the microphone catches that moment and says, ladies and gentlemen, please bring your attention to the cake so our bride and groom can now cut their cake. The guests have a directive, they know what to do, they're zoned in on the cake. You guys have your full moment. It's really nice, it's really beautiful. You take your picture, and now the guests are starting to be like, what's next? Ladies and gentlemen, please bring your attention to the dance floor so our newly married couple can share their first dance as husband and wife. Then the energy comes down because it's typically a slow song. You guys have your first dance, and when that's over, then you walk to your seat. Now we're transitioning into dinner, so we want to have either a welcome speech or your thank you speech, and if you're blessing food, that would be at this point. And now we've carried ourselves into dinner. And that is how we do weddings. If you feel like this information was useful, type wedding below plus your wedding date, and I'll send you an invite to my webinar that's free, and we'll talk about all things weddings so that you can have some tips and tricks. Thank you for sticking around. Meet you on the dance floor.